No.
It's on the computer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hello, hello, hello. With what? Somehow tells us that they weren't telling the truth. We kind of knew that already, though, didn't we? I guess it was just a weird, convoluted way of trying to get to the point that we already have. I would think we already have at least. Eh. I can't say. Oh, huh. That's weird. What? What are you laughing about? You sound like a fucking hyena.
They're so mean to Ted's partner, John. Ay, 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 ay,
Okay.
ay, ay.
Well, yeah. I ask the same thing that myself all the damn time. We can't have a decent time or anything like that because a little fucking psycho thinks that we give a damn what she thinks when she's in here. Because people keep. She doesn't love drama. She doesn't love anything. She's fucking psycho. She's a stalker and she's a fucking creeper. And yeah, she's in every fucking chat. Literally, it don't matter if they think Richard Allen is guilty, innocent, whatever. She thinks he's 100% fucking did it, the whole 9 yards. And thinks they proved it and all this other shit. So literally, y'all are letting her just fucking fuck all y'all's chats up and everything else on purpose. She's distracting the people from what they should be paying attention to, which is the facts that you're trying to put out there and stuff. Y'all are just letting her do that. It's fucking ridiculous. She's hurting your cause. Yeah, and like I said, when she comes in here pretending to be fucking polite to everybody and stuff, you're taking the chance that somebody actually pays attention to what she says. And somehow she's loud on everybody's channels and everything else. Which, like I said, it's not helping anybody else in their content, nothing. That's exactly what I'm saying. Hiding from you? What are you talking about? No, nobody's mad. You're just a self-righteous cunt who needs to step on other people's channels. Period. Plain and simple. Period. You're a fucking guilter. You have no reason to be in here. She attacks fucking people. She's rude. She fucking, and it's because I don't even know what. I have no idea what fucking Diana puts up with her ass because she literally does nothing but makes the situation worse. She talks shit about Reese Davis, your husband, but you're okay with that apparently. But a lot of me, I don't get it. I'm just saying, I don't get it. No, Charles hit her. Because I have access to Diana's laptop. No, ma'am. Listen, I have access. I have both laptops right here in front of me. I'm the one that did that. Thank you very much. So you need to apologize to Charles. Yeah, okay, I did that, motherfucker. You are welcome. More than happy. I don't even need it. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. She sits there and talks shit about that man, all kinds of other stuff, and everything else. The moment you should have seen her in like sleuth in them's chat and shit like that when we seen all them gets brought up. Uh-huh. I keep trying to tell Diana she's playing a game with her ass, dog. People don't want to listen to me. Well, I'm sorry for I tried to pull the summary thing like y'all said. I just couldn't, it wouldn't pop it up. No, Charles ain't changed his mind on anything. What is? Oh lordy. Okay. Do we have to do this run through again? I think there is a sufficient enough reason for people to question whether or not Richard Allen was involved in this crime. there's enough there to point in the direction that he may just as well have been involved in it. It probably was. But, huh? Well, but on the other hand, I know what the system's all about and all this other crap. And I know when I'm looking at some bullshit. Involved, no. Involved, yes, that's the question here. There's still felony murder. I've been the one. Y'all seem to forget my whole opinion on the matter all along. I said there was already enough that we could view right now ourselves to get a good idea that he was probably involved in these crimes, thus being felony murder. In fact, I was the one that literally said that I don't see enough there to get the 2 convictions for murder. But I do see strolling along the lines of the felony murder charges. There is enough steps that already point you into the direction that, hey, he might be the guy. That's all I've been saying all along. It's like, hey, there's enough there for me to question whether or not. Huh. And if he's involved in the crime, guys, then you'll know what that is. That's felony murder. That's what it comes down to. I mean, it sucks.
Anybody in the chat? Anybody even there?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at a bunch of people. I think they hear what I say. I don't know.
Is anybody in there? Are you talking to yourself? Because mine is only showing one person up there. And it's stalled.
Well, that's what I don't get. Why is it?
Let me refresh it.
That's what I'm talking about. I feel like he didn't get a fair shake. I didn't think the evidence messed up to the crime and the bullshit they were trying to push. That's different than all this other crap, you know? Yeah, they can hear you in the background, and they can hear what I'm saying, so obviously somebody hears you.
Let me refresh it.
I don't know why, but it had like 2 different lives going on. Some bullshit or something. All right, let me see. Yeah, see,
Okay,
I had both of our names selected. Huh.
She was attacking Tracy?
What?
She was attacking Tracy?
Yeah.
What?
I tried to tell you that she's not doing nice stuff, dude. You don't listen to me. You don't listen at all. Well, I mean, I don't know which chat you're in or whatever like that.
Oh, Shay.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. Somehow there's like 2 different lives going on. I don't know. But we're both selected and both. I don't know what the hell's going on, y'all. I guess the one's under Diana's name. And then one's under mine. Oh, lordy, yeah, Charles Line, whatever. Charles ain't got a lot. I just asked Patrick to give screenshots. How about that? She's only the difference is she's infatuated with you now. That's all it is. I guess that means she's bisexual or something. I'm not sure, I guess. Which is great. It means, yeah, thankfully she won't be stuck in me no more. Yeah, see, that's the problem. Diana modded her. And this is what it's been a problem ever since me and nobody tried to have a conversation on here. But the problem's solved because, yeah,
Bye.
I said that bitch is walking. Shouldn't run your fucking dick sucker if Charles has access to both laptops.
Damn
Yuck. Yuck. Honestly, I think I held out pretty well longer than I should have in the first place. Because I was like, man, is Dirty Diana really Dirty Diana? Well, clarify what you're talking about. That's her on her cell phone. Yeah, so when she comments or something back, that's her on her cell phone, okay? That's all that is. Or is it? Okay, somehow Diana's stuck in the light by herself. Somebody's there. What the fuck? Oh, that's where I'm heading. Okay, I found you. Found me.
See, I told you that it was by myself for only one person.
Well, you're in the fucking wrong chat. Yeah, that's your own stupidity. You're in the wrong chat. There's a lie going on.
I'm done with your games. I didn't attack Quad. Quad, what happened with Quad? What happened with Tracy? Hey, that's not me now.
See, now she's got to sit there. Okay, Tracy was the one that said she attacked her. So that means what? Tracy's a liar, or that she's attacking everybody like she always fucking does? Which seems more plausible.
Right. Yes. Right.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I put more faith in Tracy. What Tracy says.
No, I was just wondering what happened. I don't like that either. So then I could be like, listen, I know you attacked Tracy because blah 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 blah.
I'm just saying, it's like she keeps making me
Where's
blame.
my Superman?
You're Superman. What the hell are you talking about?
Superman.
Oh.
Say, where is your Superman? Who is your Superman? He's somewhere in some tight bibs. Sorry, that's me washing the dishes. I'm almost done. I'm doing my ice balls. I'm playing my ice balls. They're very important.
She's playing with her balls, though.
I don't really do a lot of dishes because I have paper plates and plastic cups, you know.
Diamond loves nothing more than playing with her balls, guys. It's just like.
Broken nail doing fucking dishes.
She's broken a nail playing with her balls. Don't you know you're supposed to massage them gently and not put so much force into it?
Oh, that's a good story, Kurt.
Which one? The one I gave him, or the rest of it?
That what?
Huh? I said, which story are you talking about when it comes to hunting evil? I said, the story I gave him, or the rest of it?
The hunting evil.
Yeah. Where did you get it from? He's the one that I ran into back in Reddit. That I started talking about the cartels and shit first too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Where does he go?
I've been running around for about 9 years now, telling everybody that I could connect Delphi across. I think at first I said like 11 states or something like that, and across like 17 serial killers, all the way to Mexico into the cartels through the Mexican cartel leader that has a partial ownership in one of the casinos in Vegas. Yeah, I don't know whether or not the FBI story is true or not. I think that's the part he embellishes, but I'm not going to claim to know any better than that. But I know that the majority beginning of his story is taken from the gist of what I gave him. And I know that a lot of people make fun of him and all kinds of other stuff. I know he believes in it big time. Uh, I get. I mean, I don't really say that I disbelieve in it. I mean, after all, it is my fucking story to begin with. But I think he's taking the hat that he knows from his informant thing, and he's costing in with the whole fucking cartel thing, and therein lies the problem. He's still at the deep end with the theories and stuff. What's weird is most.
Oh, that's weird, Kurt.
Not really. He's a sexually abused guy or whatever that knows a lot of the Kokomo crew and all this other stuff. And basically, what y'all gotta understand is he's just got severe psychological problems. So his posts are gonna be all over the place at one time, and then uh, probably when he gets back on his meds and everything like that, I assume that's when you start to see the calm, rational side. I kind of wish I had never told him this story. I didn't do any harm or anything like that. It's like I just told him to tell him because he was interested. And the problem was, like I said, it seemed like he really jumped the shark on that, attaching it to the his federal informant story or whatever. Like I've never even. I mean, I've seen the guy, talked to the guy many times. So I mean, he does look the type that would be a biker. He does. Yeah, it just seemed like he had some serious issues. That's all. And in Delphi, there's a lot of those. I mean, I hope he's okay. I mean, he used to get pregnant, and they used to make fun of him all the time. The cranks and all of them did. Yeah, yeah, he was all fucking. Yeah, like I said, he had all kinds of issues. Man. I felt bad for his dude.
If there was a way to get him off that whole fixation, I would have been happy to do so. But the fact is, there didn't seem to be one. I guess he was sexually abused as a child. He was physically abused, all kinds of different stuff. I guess kind of like myself or whatever. I haven't heard from him in a while, though, honestly. I'm gonna say it's kind of like Erica Morris. You know, I check with them every once in a while to see how they're doing and stuff. But they don't ever seem to want to talk to me very much. But yeah, did you see Jerry Prop's chat or whatever? Silence? Yeah, I'm not even subbed anymore to him, sadly. I hope he's okay. He honestly didn't seem like a bad dude at all. Like I said, he just seemed to jump too deep in. Jump the shark, man. Don't jump the shark.
Who?
Hunting you.
Oh.
No, as you saw Silence or whatever during Props Live or whatever.
What was your prospect?
Silence.
Yeah, I saw her.
Yeah, you didn't see what you. Never mind.
I'm listening to what you say, but it's on a delay. You saw silence or whatever.
Remember what I told you the other day? You laughed and you thought it was funny because you said, "That's not possible." She said, "Blah blah blah."
That first. I'm listening to you through here.
Hold on, let me mute
It's
this.
better. It's better. One time. I don't think it was
Every time I'm in there. Every time I'm in there. Every time. And it was funny because it's literally the first thing she said to me since then. When I made the comment, you're like, "You're crazy." Well, excuse me. Some people think I'm adorable. Fuck all y'all. But no, I haven't seen him in a long while. I hope he's okay. But I mean, honestly, I kind of believe this whole story about him being an FBI informant and all that stuff. That kind of shit will get you killed. Snitches get the bitches, man. And everybody knew he told everybody he was a snitch. Brendan Woodhouse, the last I heard of him, was taken into custody when they raided his house, and I had not heard of him since then. They raided his house for some other charges that didn't pertain to the flash drive. And then I've never heard a single word from him fucking since then.
Oh, I think Charles falling asleep.
No, I'm right here.
I think you are.
No. This push the community post. There we go. And I just changed the whole thing over in Wood House. What are you talking about? Well, you remember there's voice to chat and stuff too, right?
Huh?
Well, somebody said he had no spelling errors in his post or whatever. I'm like, voice to chat?
He posted a community post.
Okay, there we go. Somebody said.
Yeah, that's what Valencia does, and she makes it work.
Huh? Oh, okay. Or whatever. But yeah, he could use a voice to chat or God knows what.
Mhm. Mhm. So what are we gonna do, Kurt? Are we gonna go watch?
What?
Are we gonna go watch Hunting Evils?
Go for it.
Anything?
Do what?
Here I am.
Huh?
Nothing. Yeah. Let's listen to what you're doing with Evansdale. Did everybody hear what Teddy is doing with Evansdale?
What is he doing that we haven't already done? The victim's father is actually was a little.
Teddy, Teddy, Teddy. Teddy, Teddy, Teddy. Yeah, oh yeah, I told you, yeah.
What? Can you something else?
About the victim's father and stuff. Oh,
I've talked to the victim's father.
huh?
I've been to the victim's father for years now.
Oh. I couldn't hear.
Yeah, we've known them. They're good friends of Rick and Sprox.
It's a delay and I hear you better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ruckus is all, yeah, we're all friends. What?
Ruckus something, we're all friends.
Ruckus rocks. He's the one that's been in contact with the fathers in the case for a long time.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so.
Y'all don't like these guys because you think they're guilters and stuff. But him and Mr. Steve have been working behind the scenes on Evansdale for years.
I'm having a memory of you telling me that now.
If you even looked up Mr. Steve, y'all would find him so adorable that you couldn't even be mad at him. And he's literally the go-to that knows everything about crime scenes. And everybody throws out what he has to say.
What, baby? Okay, I'm coming.
Yeah, a lot of people discount or whatever everything because of one case. But Mr. Steve was retired crime scene investigator and everything else out of the state of Georgia.
Let's take a picture. Let's take a picture. Go, go, go. We'll be back. Mr. Steve.
I'm pretty sure it's not my speaker that needs to work well for that to happen, Diana. That would have to be my microphone. But until we know more about how the bodies were found and everything else, and all kinds of other stuff in Evansdale, that's important. I got an idea. I had a very similar case to Evansdale, almost like kind of like a Delphi thing out here in Florida. I'll show you all about it. It was I was on the jury trial. We're supposed to be on the jury trial for this. All right. All right. where is it? Oh, okay, never mind. I forgot the killer's name. My bad. 1 second. There we go. I think this should be about right. There we go, guys. I was actually supposed to be on the jury for this shit. They sent out the forms and everything like it was Delphi. It's kind of like how I knew how the Delphi was going to do their is the sound working for you guys or what? Come on, where is it? There we go.
Number of injuries in the struggle or had been covered head to toe in the victim's DNA. As long as no one saw you do it, you could live the rest of your life as a free person. Men and women used to be charged, tried, and imprisoned on hunches, or because they seemed like the type of guy who would kill someone, rather than any kind of direct evidence. Motive could be whatever the police said it was, whether that be they were jealous of a new promotion the person got, or if they wore all black most of the time. If someone new moved into the town the day before a murder, they could be charged on that alone, even if they had an airtight alibi. But through the use of DNA evidence and forensic science, the rate of patently false convictions went down. If one wanted to commit a murder, they would have to go through lengths to not be caught. Movies and television shows would depict a killer planning the perfect crime so as to not be caught, wearing gloves so they wouldn't leave any fingerprints, taking their victim by surprise so their DNA isn't found under the person's fingernails, and making sure that nothing left at the scene could be tied back to them. As long as they were careful and they kept their distance while committing their murder, they could potentially get away scot-free. Today, thousands of cold cases are being solved through testing DNA evidence, and the case we will be covering today is one of those times. Welcome back to another episode of Dreading, or if this is your first time here, welcome. Today, we will be covering the recently solved cold case of Robin Cornell and Lisa Story. This case came to us via a Patreon request, and after watching some of the material we will be looking over today, understand why. This case does involve the murder of a child, and researching this case was extremely mentally taxing. As such, I want to urge that anyone who is sensitive to cases involving children to click off the video. Cases like this can be traumatizing, and though I don't go into graphic detail, it's important you put your mental health and well-being before anything else. As always, if there's a case you're interested in going over on this channel, feel free to let us know in the comments down below, or email us at dreading.official@gmail.com. We are constantly adding new cases to our backlog, and responding to emails and corresponding with those involved. So if there is a case you feel we should pay more attention to, let us know.
And what this guy.
This video was brought to you by Scentbird. Did you know that scent is the most powerful sense to trigger a memory? According to brain scans, different fragrances trigger strong memories because of the brain regions that process them. Going out into a freshly mowed field reminds me of working on the farm with my dad and grandfather. Certain perfumes remind me of my mom and sister, and if I smell certain scents, I'm immediately transported back to when I was younger. But in today's modern age, it's harder to find a signature scent that people can attach to you, or at least it was prior to Scentbird. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription that lets you choose a new designer fragrance to try every month for just $17, which is a steal, given that a lot of luxury stuff in both US and Canada. Thank you for Robin turned in for the night, exhausted by the day's events. As Lisa and Jan cleaned up the home, trying to sort through all of their things, Jan got a call from her boyfriend, asking if she wanted to go over and watch some television with him. Initially, Jan said no. She had had a long day and was as exhausted as her daughter was. But Lisa encouraged her to go out and have some fun with her boyfriend. Lisa reminded her that the whole point of her moving into the home was to provide her the round-the-clock child care, and she didn't mind taking care of Robin for the night. After a little bit of encouraging, Jan decided to go, telling Lisa she would be back within a few hours. She went into her daughter's room, kissed her on the head, and said, "Good night, I'm going to Donnie's, I love you." And that, unfortunately, was the last thing she would ever say to her daughter. After Jan had left Robin and Lisa, a person had entered the townhome through the sliding glass back door and quickly surveyed the home. First, they found Lisa Story in the room she had just moved into and quickly subdued her. Lisa
And
fought
they,
back against the attacker, grabbing a fistful of his hair
yeah, he
and clawing them the
physically
best she
started
could.
attacking
But after a
the
short
lawyer's
struggle,
corpse.
she was suffocated on her
Very
bed
sequencing.
with one of her own pillows. The attack was loud and woke up the 11-year-old. Not knowing what was happening and not believing she was in danger in her own home, she got up to see what was happening. But once the intruder saw the young girl, he quickly assaulted her as well, hitting her multiple times in the face before she was knocked out. He then suffocated her as well. After killing both Lisa and Robin, he sexually violated them, leaving DNA in and on their bodies, as well as their bed sheets. He left their bodies in disturbing positions, with the desire to humiliate them in their death and traumatize whoever was to find the bodies. Following the murder and post-mortem sexual assaults, the killer appeared to have taken a shower, seemingly unconcerned with the idea of being discovered. Shortly thereafter, they left the scene, unknowingly leaving their car keys in the kitchen of the home. The next morning, Jan woke up at 4 a.m., still at her boyfriend's house. She had accidentally fallen asleep on his couch and realized her mistake. She flew into a panic, both because she had not returned home like she said she would, and because she had to start work at 4:30 in the morning. Her boyfriend's home was only a few blocks away from her own, but she knew she was going to be late. She rushed home, but immediately knew something was wrong as she couldn't get into the door. The door had 2 locks, a deadbolt which worked, and another in the doorknob, which did not. But one key was supposed to open both. Everyone who had come to her home knew better than to lock the doorknob, and she knew Lisa would have never done so. Once more, she began to panic. She quickly rushed to the back of the home that she shared with her daughter and the babysitter, and found the sliding glass door completely open, with the blinds blowing in and out. She yelled out for Lisa and Robin, hoping they were playing a prank on her, or that Lisa might have gotten drunk and left the house in disarray, but no one answered. The home itself was freezing, as the back door had been open with the air conditioning put on full blast. Jan hurried through the house and was horrified to find Lisa and Robin dead on their beds. When Jan found her daughter deceased in her own bed, she quickly fought to save her life. She moved Robin to the ground and began to do CPR, hoping that she would be able to bring her back from the dead. But it was too late. Both Robin and Lisa were beyond saving. Multiple neighbors heard the commotion and called the police, and were traumatized by what they found. The details of the case were horrific, and the fact that such a brutality had been done to a girl who was only 11 years old, who asked her mom in the days leading up to her death if she was old enough to have her first kiss, made many officers sick. Many who looked at the case stated without a shadow of a doubt that it would be solved quickly. Whoever had taken Robin and Lisa's lives had left a plethora of evidence. They had left their DNA everywhere and had seemingly forgotten their car keys. But that was not the case. Police canvassed the area, obtained hundreds of DNA samples, and followed up on every lead that they could, but nothing came of it. Jan spoke to the police frequently, trying to keep her daughter and friend's case at the top of their minds, but it had stalled, and people had moved on. She reached out for help from different groups and former police officers, hoping that they could provide answers, but they too came up short. The story was featured on television shows like America's Most Wanted, and the host.
Like I said, they found both of these victims. Their bodies had been staged in very provocative positions. The one girl was 11 years old. The other, her babysitter was like 22 or 23. They had been both sexually assaulted and strangled. And the killer took a shower afterwards. On top of that, he accidentally left his keys there at the crime scene, the whole 9 yards. This was in 1990.
Hopes that continued publicity would lead to a break in the case, but the case would remain cold until 26 years later. Joseph Seiler was in Lee County Jail on a felony aggravated battery charge for shooting his son with a pellet gun in August of 2016, when his DNA was placed into the criminal database. Seiler had not been connected to the case and had never met Robin or Lisa prior to the murders. However, once his DNA was added to the criminal database, it showed that it was a match for the DNA that was found in and on both Lisa and Robin. He had conclusively been shown to have been the person to kill both Lisa and Robin. However, he denied any wrongdoing. He stated that he had never met Lisa or Robin, and that there was no way that it was his DNA at the crime scene. He claimed that the DNA that they found was likely his uncle, his brother, or his father, and that it had been them that committed the crime, as they lived less than 5 miles away from the murder, which would also put him close to the murder at the time. He would then change his story, stating that it was possible for the DNA found at the scene to have belonged to him, only because he had slept with someone at that location before, and that Jan, Robin, and Lisa had never cleaned their sheets. At times, he would state that he had sex with Jan while on vacation once, and that he had simply left so much DNA during their sexual escapades that it was still showing up years later. He also routinely stated that the DNA that was found at the scene couldn't possibly match him, as the hair that was found gripped in Robin's fist was blonde, and he was brunette, but to be clear, there was never any record of the hair being blonde. His story made no sense, and it was clear to anyone who saw the facts of the case that he was guilty, and many believed he would eventually admit to his guilt prior to the trial. The evidence was overwhelming. However, he refused to, instead pleading not guilty in court. It's unclear that he sincerely believed that he could beat the conviction, but it's unlikely that is what he wanted. He had gotten away with murder for 2 decades, and he wanted to continue to have control over his life, especially if that meant re-traumatizing all of those who had been involved in the case. On June 8, 2022, while awaiting trial, Joseph would write a letter to the judge in his case. The following is that letter. Honorable Robert Branning, I have a fair offer to avoid bringing this to jury trial. If you order full retesting of all exhibits with NB32 prefix, and any of them test to contain either victim's epithelial profile, I will waive a jury trial and allow you to personally impose sentencing. However, you must agree to drop all charges if my DNA genotype is mixed with, as I have said from the beginning, either redacted or redacted partial profile, because if either redact are in any NB32 exhibit, there is no way possible it could originate from the night of the crime. You know this. Pausing for just a moment, but the DNA that they matched with Joseph was not old DNA. It wasn't found on the bedsheets from years earlier. His hair was found clutched in Lisa's hand and in her mouth. So his argument that while she was being killed by another person who left no DNA in the home, she grabbed hold of a random patch of his hair that had been left on her bed for years prior. That makes no sense and is clearly false. But continuing with the letter, to include 0 in an independent lab not affiliated with FDLE, NB32A1 plus 2 NB3261 _ 2 NB32E, and all things connected. This, of course, must also test and verify my actual genotype. If my genotype is neither 1.1.1.2 or 1.2.1.2, you let me go. I am a man of my word, and I will give you my word if my genotype DNA is in any way mixed with either victim. Redacted. I will waive a jury trial. Put me to death. I give you my assurance. I am in no way connected to either victim. The only exhibit allegedly tying me to this crime is NB32A, which I contest is geno reading of 1.2.1.2, because any DNA expert will tell you a mix of 4 people rarely yields an uncontestable genotype identifying one single individual. Excuse me if I doubt my genotype is either the genotypes quoted in this case. I do not believe myself to be either 1.1.1.2 or 1.2.1.2. CCPD is hiding information. You cannot contest. Retesting of SV1K has ruined the state's capital rape case. No discernible geno reading means no scientific foundation. The second rape charge had 0 foundation from the very start because no amplifiable DNA was present. You have no case for rape. And lastly, the very light blonde hair in Redacted's mouth, and stuck to both bodies, and found on both transport sheets, very light blonde is found in 2% of the population worldwide, pretty much points to another person, as I have very dark brown hair. Again, pausing for just a moment to say that the hairs that were found at the scene were brown. When the evidence was collected and logged, it was logged as brown hair. When it was discussed in police documents and records, it was described as being brown. Joseph saying the DNA was blonde is just false. But back to the letter. Dark brown-haired individuals don't leave dozens of blonde hairs behind. I am innocent. There's no way to contest a non-matching genotype, fingerprints, hair color, and a mix of either adult female redacted mixed with my DNA. Your Honor, read Discovery, especially Mary LeGrand's interview. Redacted can in no way remember the number of men quoted throughout Discovery. They're both senile, and even gamble. If I'm in any way mixed with either victim, I welcome your best, no trial. If I prove my honesty, you let me go. Being young, on vacation, sleeping with divorced, willing, consensual older women is in no way a crime. Dementia can't excuse genotype reports. Even odds say it can go either way. Respectfully maintaining my innocence, Jay Zeeler. And do you really want this returned to your courtroom? I will not plead to a crime I had no part in. Freeing me is no gift, homeless and penniless at 60. I will leave Florida within 24 hours after reviewing my chronic care medication and disability. Also, sir, did you know my father is a disgraced pedophile, Cape Coral, third in command, Cape Coral Police Shift Commander Supervisor, along with his brother from Punta Gorda, both with pregnant 12-year-old girls on public records, in Cape Coral, both on probation in 1990, and were never looked at by CCPD, even though they lived within 5 miles the night the crime happened? This is why they're hiding this. This is why CCPD wants to close this on the hush-hush quiet down low. They absolutely have the wrong person, and have had the pedophile who caused this on probation employed by them underneath their noses for 30 years, and now, after charging me by jumping the gun on Lineal, they know they face public humiliation if they reveal the perpetrator of this crime was one of their own, and they've ignored the Lineal for 6 years to avoid embarrassing themselves. Think I'm lying? Check. Mr. Feinberg is aware. I will provide all family history plus info. It's someone in my family, brothers, uncle, or father. Right, so that is that. This is similar to Dustin McFetridge writing the judge in his case and promising that he is innocent and should be allowed to just leave prison. Joseph believes that he should just tell the judge he is innocent and all the evidence against him is fabricated, and then he'll be allowed to leave. He is a man of his word after all. The DNA would be retested by another lab prior to the trial, and once more, the DNA was found to be an exact match to Zeeler. Moreover, his allegations against his family held no weight, as their DNA had been in the system for longer than Zeeler's, and was not a match to what was found at the scene. The case would eventually go to trial in May of 2023, and Zeeler's defense had an extremely hard time contesting the facts of the case. They were forced to fight that despite Zeeler's DNA match, he had not been the murderer. They tried to argue that the hair had been blonde, not brunette, and that the murder had been done to ruin Jan's life. They argued that Jan was leading a double life, and that her shady actions had led to her daughter's and friend's death, but they showed no evidence of this. Joseph would eventually take the stand in his own defense, and it would go horrifically. Whenever we cover cases where a person takes the stand in their own defense, we discuss what they would need to do in order to convince a jury. Usually, their goal is to seem as meek and docile as possible, making it impossible to imagine them hurting anyone. They want to seem innocent, kind, and fragile, with the hopes that their actions will speak louder than the evidence. But in this case, that is not true. There is so much conclusive evidence that Zeeler is the one who killed Robin and Lisa that there is no arguing that he is innocent. So, let's see what he does.
Mr. Shirley, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please tell the jury your name.
Joseph Adams Zeiler.
Are you the defendant in this case?
Yes.
May I approach?
Approach.
Mr. Zeiler, let me show you what's been previously identified as our Exhibit A. Can you tell me what that exhibit is?
There's a picture of me and my son who's clutching my back, and my cousin, one of two twins, Danny.
How old are you in that picture?
26.
What color hair do you have in
No.
the picture?
Hold on, let me think about that. How old I was, sorry.
In less than a minute on the stand, Joseph has already made himself appear untrustworthy and guilty. This testimony would take place on day 3 of the trial, after the jury had been made aware of all the evidence. Joseph's demeanor, posture, and inability to answer the question correctly the first time would confirm his guilt to the jury. Moreover, this is his attorney. He would have been prepped on how to respond to this question, and the fact that he is unsure says a lot.
I guess I'll say 26. I have a problem with dates.
What color was your hair?
Same color I was born with, very, very dark brown.
Okay, have you always had that color hair?
Yes, sir.
Let me show you what's been previously identified as our Exhibit B. Do you recognize that exhibit? Is
Yes,
that a photograph?
yes,
You recognize the person in the photograph?
yes.
Who is that?
That's my older brother, Robert Joseph Zeiler, who I was raised with, but I believe he's my half brother. We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. I'd like to have these admitted in evidence, please. No objection. Yeah, publish it to the jury.
Hold on. Defense A and B are admitted. You may publish.
Thank you. Rather than pass them off, just let them look.
These two men both have brown hair.
Do you have any other brothers?
Yes, I have a brother, Steve. He was 5 years older than me, but he died, I believe, about 2008.
And obviously you have a father.
Well, I really don't know who my father is because, of course, I was born with very dark brown hair, and my brothers were born with light sandy hair, and my mother kept that secret, I guess, for her own safety.
Okay. Back in 1990, when this event occurred, where did your brothers reside?
Well, both my brothers were here in December of '89
All right, stop. Where's here?
in Florida.
Okay, where in Florida?
Oh, Cape Coral.
Okay. Did they live in Cape Coral?
Yes, they were working on the Cape Coral Hospital as block mason and laborer.
Okay. And was your father, or the person that may be your father, was he living down here then?
Yes.
Where was he working?
I believe he wasn't working. He was living on a houseboat in Marina Town, but I believe he was retired from working.
From where?
Well, he didn't leave voluntarily. He was arrested in Cape Coral driving the Cape Coral squad car.
Was he a member of the Cape Coral Police Department?
Yes, sir. He was like the fourth member down from chief of police. He was the shift commander of the Cape Coral Police Department.
Joseph is unable to answer a question directly. When asked if he is a father, he states that's a hard question because he no longer thinks the person who raised him is his father because he has darker hair. We've attempted to look into this, and there's no evidence that the man who raised him isn't his father. When asked where his relatives were living in 1990, he begins to talk about their jobs and only tells the court Cape Coral when prodded by his attorney. He is refusing to be direct and only answers questions in a roundabout way. This is a telltale sign of someone not being truthful. Think of a time when you ask a question to a child. You ask them if they finished their homework or cleaned their room. And instead of saying yes or no, they begin to tell you how they were in their room, and then they heard a noise, and then they found a toy they had lost a year ago, and the toy was a Power Rangers action figure, and they remembered this really, really great episode of Power Rangers that they saw another year ago, and so on and so forth. They don't want to tell you something that you don't want to hear, so instead, they try and distract you by telling you something else entirely. That's what Joseph is doing, because he's about as smart as a 3-year-old.
All right, let me ask you a couple of questions. Where were you born?
I was born in Little Company of Mary Hospital in Evergreen Park, Illinois.
How long did you live in Illinois?
I lived in Illinois until I was 16, and my parents, I call them my parents because I'm so used to calling that man my father. So I will slip up once in a while. But the man I believed was my father at that time forced me to move down here with him and my mother because my mother wanted me to finish high school.
Okay, so you and your mother and the person that may be your father moved to where down here?
We moved to Parkwood Estates, was our first residence, which is Central Fort Myers by Pagefield.
Okay, how long were you in Florida?
One second. Well, I've on and off, back and forth, so from Florida to Illinois, so I mean, at least a half a dozen times.
Were you ever a resident of the state of Maryland?
Yes, I was.
All right, and back in 1990, were you registered as a driver in the state of Maryland?
Yes, I was.
Oh, has your hair ever been light?
No, never.
Do you know Jan Cornell?
No, I don't know Jan Cornell.
Do you know Lisa Story?
No,
Do you know Robin Cornell?
no.
There was another name that was mentioned during the questioning, Leanne Deller.
No, all them names I read in my discovery, and that's how I became aware of them names.
Okay. Have you saw photographs of the residence where this event occurred? You've been here during trial, haven't you, Mr. Zeiler?
Well, yes, I've been here during trial, but when the Cape Coral police interrogated me, they didn't show me the owner of the apartment.
Okay. I'm asking you now, have you seen photographs that were admitted into evidence depicting the scene of the event?
Yes.
Have you ever been in there?
No.
Now, you made phone calls after you were initially arrested for the event that occurred with Ms. Knisely's son. You made phone calls to her, did you not?
Yes, he's my son with her.
So are you the birth father of that child?
Yes. When he was born, Bonnie was still married to her first husband, so they put his name on the birth certificate, but I agreed to sign the paper to have it removed.
Okay. So do you basically raise that child as your own?
Yes.
The letter that you wrote to Bonnie that was read in court, you were making reference to somebody who was living in the house and who needed to go on. Who were those references about?
That's our son together, Zachary.
Okay. At any point in time in the letter, were you making any admissions to having committed this offense?
Zachary's offense?
No.
No,
The offense for which you're charged in this courtroom.
not at all.
What were you referring to?
I was referring to my altercation with my 26-year-old drunken son.
You made reference to something that happened in 1990. What was that?
I was arrested in July of 1990 because it was my son's birthday. That's how I remember my oldest son, Joey's birthday. And I had a pistol on board my sailboat. He was visiting me, and when I went across the street to go do some laundry, I didn't feel comfortable leaving the pistol on the boat with him. I was trying to be responsible, and I took the gun with me across the street to do some laundry. And while I was there, I stopped in a jewelry store to try to sell a couple items so I could buy him a birthday present.
Okay. And were you ultimately held responsible for that?
Well, yeah. While I was there.
Well, without getting into all the events, is that part of your prior felony conviction?
Oh, yes.
All right. Back in May of 1990, were there any warrants out for you?
Yes, there was a warrant out for me in St. Mary County, Maryland, issued 5/29/90. That was the day that I left because they came to my work trying to find me, and my boss covered for me. I jumped on my motorcycle and I had it here.
All right. Was there a warrant for you out of Chicago issued in 1987?
Yes, yes.
Did you make reference on either the phone calls or the letter to those warrants?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about the stuff we talked about before.
I previously mentioned how when you take the stand in your own defense, you want to come off as innocent. You want to appear forthright, honest, and completely incapable of doing what you're being charged with. And Joseph has managed to do the opposite. His attorney, going through all of his prior warrants and charges, we get the sense that Joseph is not entirely a trustworthy person who is not above breaking the law. In the brief glimpses we get of his prior crimes, from shooting his son with a pellet gun, we know he isn't above harming others, and he's completely all right with running from the law, like what occurred in this case, and he's doing nothing to make any of his actions seem justified.
Were you ever stopped in the state of Florida?
Yes, probably 4 or 5 times altogether, but only twice with Bonnie with me.
She recited that the time that you were stopped was much later on in your relationship. Do you recall when the first time you were stopped for the Chicago warrant?
The first time we were together, when we were stopped together, was at leaving Heavenly Pizza in North Fort Myers. We were driving her Jeep, and the police pulled us over. And they put me in the back of the squad car and held me for close to an hour and a half.
Did they release you?
Yes, but they told me at any time that the warrant was still active.
Sustained.
Excuse me?
What the police said.
Sustained. Move on.
But you were aware that that warrant is still active?
Yes.
Where were you? Let me ask a different question. You heard the last state's witness testify with regard to some comments that you made while you were in the custody of the Cape Coral Police Department. Did you hear those?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sorry. Yes.
All right, one of those comments was something about the death penalty. Why did you talk to the officer about the death penalty?
Well, I was being facetious because I knew that they arrested the wrong person.
Where were you on May 9th and 10th of 1990?
I was in Maryland.
And Mr. Zeiler, you've heard experts testify in this case that they are convinced that at least one, if not all 3, of the sites of semen or of other bodily fluid that were placed on the bed sheet, the pillow, and or the exterior of the young lady's genitalia was your semen. Is that possible?
No, it's not.
This statement directly goes against his own letter. Again, he claimed he had sex with Jan, and that's how his semen and his hair was found in the home. To quote his letter, being young, on vacation, sleeping with divorced, willing, consensual older women is in no way a crime, unquote. But now, while on the stand, he is claiming he never met her.
Judge, at this time, I have no further questions. Mr. Zeiler may want to address the jury.
Let's go over the defense briefly here, because it's important. Joseph says he didn't do it, that he was out of state when the crime occurred, and therefore it cannot be him. However, his attorney offers no evidence of this. There are no bank records that place Joseph in Maryland. He doesn't have any records of working in Maryland at the time of the crime, and there's quite literally nothing placing him there. They provide nothing to supplement his statements, and instead, his simple answer is supposed to be enough for the jury in this case. According to Joseph's lawyer, Joseph wanted a moment to address the court himself and give his own perspective as to what happened, which is ridiculous. The lawyer knows this. He doesn't want to ask if it's okay for his client to go on a monologue about his thoughts on the case. But, as we will see, Joseph is incredibly aggressive and entirely unwilling to compromise. It was also theorized by court TV correspondents that Joseph was going to perjure himself while on the stand, and that he wanted his lawyer to ask him specific questions for him to do so. and he would be unable to do that.
Whom the letter is coming says Joseph Adam Zeiler at the top, and then there's more, but that's the first part.
Yes.
And what are the numbers 47492/835-775
That's my ID number followed by my booking number.
at the Lee County Jail?
Yes.
And the address of 2115 MLK Boulevard, Main Jail, Fort Myers, 33901. That's where you're being housed.
Yes.
And that letter was addressed to who, sir?
J.G. Batista and family.
At what, who, did you address this envelope?
Yes.
And who was J.G. Batista and family?
I thought it was Jenny Gal Batista.
Oh, so you were trying to send this letter to Robin's sister then?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Yes. I was trying to send it to family, actually. So I guess I was trying to send it to everybody.
The whole Batista family.
Yes.
And in that particular letter, did you profess your innocence by claiming that it was a relative of yours that did this murder?
Yes, I was trying to defend myself because no one would listen to me.
Sir, it calls for a yes or no. Did you, in the letter, profess your innocence or allege your innocence by saying that a relative of yours had done these murders?
Yes.
What he just admitted to was horrifying. His DNA was at the scene, not a family member's, not an unknown, blonde man, his. And he decided to send a letter to whom he believed was the victim's family, which is obviously disgusting.
Did you suggest, in addition to that, did you tell the people who this letter's addressed to that you slept with Jan Cornell, Janice, and a friend of hers in 1989, and therefore that's why your DNA is in the Courtyards North condominium?
Yes, I thought so because she didn't wash her sheets.
You know whether or not Miss Cornell washes her sheets?
How I got that is by the information I was given from you was discovery. And I thought that the only way my DNA could have gotten there was me sleeping with Jan Cornell and Leanne Deller.
As a reminder, he said in direct examination that he had never slept with Jan Cornell or Leanne Deller.
Did you sleep with Jan Cornell and Miss Deller?
It's possible because I was here.
Well, now you were here.
I mean, I was here in December '89. I testified to that earlier. And what I believe happened is I slept with Jan Cornell and Leanne Deller, and they were just too much of a pig not to wash their sheets.
He just called the mother of the victim, the woman who discovered the body of her 11-year-old daughter and performed CPR on her, a pig. Jan had no part in the crime and had fought for years to keep her daughter's name in the public eye. In her testimony, she broke down, discussing finding her daughter and her friend dead and how she is haunted by that night. She is a victim in this, and he just called her a pig, all while asking the jury to overlook the concrete evidence that he is the killer, and changing his story to state that he was in Florida at the time of the murder, and he somehow believed that he was going to be found innocent.
And during your direct exam by counsel, your attorney, you indicate you'd never been in their condominium.
I'm speculating that the only way my DNA could have got in there is if I slept with them during December '89 while I was here for the month of December.
And then it would have to follow that your DNA would have stayed viable
For
let me finish my question. If it was January, February, March, April, May of 1990, and then, well, okay, I don't want to make it a compound question. Your DNA would have still been there 5 months later.
Yes,
And that's because they're pigs and they don't wash their sheets, right?
exactly.
You know that?
Well, I assume that, just like you're assuming that
But just so the record's clear, when I said they're pigs and they wash their sheets, that's what you said.
absolutely.
All right. and sitting in jail, pending charges on this case, you thought that this was appropriate to send the 11-year-old who was murdered to mother?
Well, nobody would listen to me, so I was trying to defend myself. Can I speak?
No, sir. Wait for a question, please.
May I retrieve the exhibit?
Go ahead.
Approach with exhibit 312.
312.
Take a moment to look at that letter, please.
Was the previous exhibit admitted?
Move to admit 311 if I didn't.
Objection.
311 is admitted.
Sir, on the second page, that which shows the envelope which was sent to, again, J.G. Batista and addressed from Joseph Adams Eiler with the same numbers. Is that also a letter you wrote?
I concede I wrote all this.
And in this second letter, you told you directed this towards Jan Cornell, correct? And when you said this,
I can't
And
say
I'm-
unless you show me the letter.
I want to direct you to the page right now, page 3. So it's the page right after the envelope picture. On the second paragraph. Did you address to Jan Cornell the following? The only way, underlined, is to admit you possibly could have slept with me as a night encounter and you can't remember, you won't be sure, you won't retest. Did you?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I don't see Jan Cornell's name above that.
Joseph believes that he is besting the lawyer here and that he's coming across completely rationally, which is absurd given what is currently happening. He makes unbroken, aggressive eye contact with opposing counsel, trying to establish dominance. He raises his hand to shush the lawyer when he begins saying things he doesn't like, and he bites back at his statements in an inane, self-serving way, all believing that the jury is going to look at his actions and think, oh yeah, this guy couldn't have done this. He's completely delusional.
You said Jan Cornell's name was there on
No,
that
I
page.
said, who were you, I'll ask it this way. Who were you addressing when you made that statement? Is there someone else in the Batista family you slept with?
Let
According to
the,
you?
let the witness answer the question before you ask another question, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, yeah, yes.
Yes to what?
I don't know. Ask it again.
All right.
What the fuck?
I'm going to ask it open-ended. It's right. A very open-ended question. When you made that statement in the letter, who were you directing at?
Jan Cornell was trying to get her to ask to retest NB32A because it doesn't contain my DNA.
It does, and Joseph is not an expert when it comes to DNA, so him attempting to give expert testimony about the subject is moot.
I don't believe it is.
You've been sitting here for the last 2.5 days, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Did you hear the testimony of, who was it that retested?
Jim Pollock.
Of Jim Pollock. Was it Jim Pollock?
Jim Pollock, it was
No, the retest.
Beth Ortigan, Vicky Molino,
All
all
right.
of them.
Well, the DNA witnesses, did you hear them say that they actually did retest NB32? That they actually took the sheet, recut another sample, and had another analyst do the same test? Did you hear that?
Yes.
So the retesting was done.
I believe FDLE is siding with the prosecution. Of course, they're going to say that.
So let's go over what he believes happened. He believes he slept with Jan Cornell, or her friend, in 1989, and she never washed her sheets afterwards. Then, months later, Lisa and Robin were killed by another person, a blonde-haired mystery man who just so happened to have the same DNA as him. Then, for over 20 years, the police pretended to look for the culprit of this crime, but knew it was either his father or his uncle, both of which are pedophiles who had previously worked for the police. They hid this fact for years, and it was only decades later when Joseph's DNA was taken after he shot his son, that they decided to pin the crime on him. So everyone in multiple testing labs, the police, and the prosecution got together to pin the crime on him, for no reason, and all the evidence that makes him look guilty was all planted and fake. That sounds about right.
Okay, and their opinion on that was that Jan Cornell was excluded from that DNA.
I don't think she was. I think that if it was listed, that's the reason I asked for it to be retested, because I don't believe that.
Now, if you flip the page for me and you go to the 4th page of this pack of that exhibit, and I'm going to ask you to look at the bottom. Did you also direct this to Jan Cornell? If you knowingly allow them to convict the wrong man out of spite and vengeance, I will drag this, parentheses, and you, Robin and Lisa, through appeals all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. I wrote that.
And did you also write on the next line, I'm innocent, I will prove it, no matter how long it takes. Do you really want the rest of your life spent in court?
Yes, I wrote that.
You're threatening then Miss Cornell with what you're going to do. Should she not, what? What do you want her to do?
Well, she's calling me a rapist and a murderer, so what? I can't write that. I mean, she's calling me a rapist and a murderer, and I'm calling her a pig for not washing her sheets.
At what point in the 33 years has Miss Cornell called you anything?
What do you mean?
At what point
Well,
she?
why am I in court today? You're all trying to convince this jury that I somehow left blonde hair and Lisa Stewart's mouth and clutched in Robin Cornell's fist, because that's a piece of paper right here that they're trying to hide from you.
Mr.
Right
Seiler.
here. I still see the body of 11-year-old
Mr.
Robin
Seiler.
Cornell
Yeah.
with the hand, with the hair of her killer,
The jury will step out.
the blonde hair.
So we're going to stop this here, because that was horrible. Joseph would be admonished by the judge and threatened to be placed in contempt of court. If you are interested in watching the rest of the cross-examination, it's simply by him saying that the evidence was fake and that all the experts in the case were lying, that he would be able to get away with murder. But that was far from the case. The evidence in his behaviorally short deliberation. But yeah, he needs to leave the planet. He's too much of a liability. While awaiting his sentencing, he would attack his own lawyer in the courtroom. According to his attorney, Kevin Shirley, he seemed like he didn't want our conversation to be picked up by the microphones. So he waved me down and I bent over and he struck me. He had also etched the word killer into his veneers, flashing them at the cameras as he waited to hear his sentence. Joseph had been hoping to get a retrial, but after the assault, the judge denied his motion and decided not to overturn his conviction. The judge would then sentence him to death. According to an interview he would do with NBC2 after he was sent to death row, Joseph had etched the words killer into his teeth because he was, quote, playing the role after being convicted. He then stated that his attorney had sabotaged him during the trial because he was sleeping with his aunt, and that he would eventually get a new trial and prove his innocence. He was quoted as saying, "The conviction's going to be overturned the minute I get post-conviction DNA testing. I'm confident in that. I know where I've been, and I ain't been there," which is an objectively odd thing to say, when according to his own testimony, he doesn't know where he's been or if he's ever slept with Jan Cornell or not. Joseph is now back in court facing harassment charges, stemming from the multiple letters he sent to Jan Cornell, threatening her not to testify. But regardless of what happens in that case or what Joseph believes, he will never see the light of day again. If you've made it to this portion of the video, thank you for watching. If there's a case you would like to see my brother and I cover, or a story you would like more attention brought to, feel free to email us at dreading.official@gmail.com. With that being said, I hope you have a great day, and remember to stay safe.
For 33 years, Jan Cornell has kept this last recording of her daughter Robin's voice.
I don't even know where to to begin.
And now, for the first time in 33 years, Cornell says she's at peace.
Knowing that Robin and Lisa are going to have justice on the books forever. Because that's all I could ever make sure happened for them after this.
Thank you again to Scentbird for continuing to sponsor my content.
Did this guy get hit? Yeah, he's missing a leg, and the other one is all like, I don't know if his pants are the only thing holding him on or what. His foot there, it's